People close to President Trump say that he dodged a bullet with the Mueller probe, and people who have known Donald Trump or have followed him for decades, they're still trying to make sense of it all. Well, my next guest, he's got a unique perspective. He spent 3 years working for Trump in Atlantic City in a management position, and he wrote a book about the ordeal. It's called Trumped, the inside story of the real Donald Trump, his cunning rise and spectacular fall. Jack O'Donnell joins me now. You know, none of us know, obviously, the contents of the full report, nor am I going to even opine on what could or couldn't be within it. That all said, the reason why so many of the allegations rang true to me is that I can't point to anything, and just being a native New Yorker and following Trump not as closely as yourself, I can't point to a single instance where our president, when his private life as a candidate or now as commander-in-chief, ever did anything that didn't have a personal, financial, or political benefit for himself. So it never made sense to me why he would carry the water as both candidate and president for Putin, given, obviously, the intelligence, unimpeachable factoid that they did interfere with our elections and everything else attached to it. Just never made sense for me why he would do that for them. Knowing him as you do you buy that he doesn't do anything for somebody else unless it benefits him? And this never made sense.
Well, I do think that he is a very self-centered individual, as we all know, and I think he is driven by his own personal greed, so to speak. And I think most of what he does come back to his business and how he can make money. So I think that there was probably a relationship long-term that he was trying to develop with Russia, and I believe he wanted to do business there.
You know, Jack, I want to play a bite, and this is part of a skit from one of the late night guys, in this case, Jimmy Kimmel, but I think it speaks to what a lot of us think is an awkward truth here about the gang that can't shoot straight. This again from Jimmy Kimmel last night.
It's kind of funny, though. Half of America is upset that our president didn't collude with Russia. Seems like we should probably be happy about that, shouldn't we? And didn't we really all, deep down, didn't we know Trump probably didn't collude with Russia because he could never pull that off? And even if he did collude, it probably would have been by accident. Putin wanted him in there and did what he had to do. Basically, Trump got in the White House the same way Lori Loughlin got her kid into USC.
The point of this all, Jack, is for anyone who always said, hey, Trump is sly like a fox, I have never seen evidence that he can play three-dimensional chess. Now, you worked for him in a high-ranking position for 3 years. It's almost what you see is what you get, that to be able to pull off a conspiracy, you have to have patience. You have to be able to keep quiet about this. I mean, I'm not praising criminal activity here, but it takes a certain amount of tact, which I haven't seen. That's been one argument that's been made to me from a lot of former federal prosecutors that, to pull something like this off, you have to have a discipline that this man doesn't have. What do you think about that?
Well, I think you're right. I mean, it's very well known, and I certainly witnessed this almost on a daily basis, that he had an incredibly short attention span, and that plays into strategic planning. And so I think it is unlikely that he would have been able to stay course with a very well thought out conspiracy, so to speak. I mean, even, and to Kimmel's joke, so to speak, look at the fiasco of the meeting at Trump Tower. First, the cast of characters, and then just the comedy of lying afterward. It was for this reason, it was for adoption, and it changed, and Trump writing, the responses to it. I mean, it just is reflective of exactly what you've described, Richard. It's somebody who can't stay on task.
A lot of people, it's an open secret that the rotating cast of attorneys that Trump had representing him, all to a person said, we do not want our client here in a room with Bob Mueller under oath answering questions. And the at least pervasive comment that was out there was, he can't go 5 minutes without not lying. Is that an exaggeration from your standpoint? Or if Mueller actually did have him testify under oath, we might be having a very different conversation today?
Well, I think that was one of the very disappointing things about the investigation in and of itself. Now, would he have lied under oath? Absolutely, he would have. If there was any suggestion, or if he got even close to a question, which Trump would believe put him in a bad light, he would lie about it, even if it was a very simple issue. I have no question that had he been under oath to Mueller, he would have lied at some point during that conversation. And here's a good example. After I left Trump, I had to testify at a deposition about a land issue in Atlantic City. And after that, and it was a Trump issue versus another casino. And I actually was a very good witness for Trump. And I had already left Trump under pretty stressful conditions. He called me that day and said, "Jack, I just want to thank you for your testimony. It was the truth, and it helped us a lot." And I said, "Donald, what else could I have done?" And he answered to me, "You could have lied."
Unbelievable. Obviously, you saw the insides of how he conducted business, and there are many people who've said to me, "Rich, the Mueller report's one thing, but with the cases that have been basically shunted to the Southern District, to the Eastern District, and some of the other district courts right here that deal with everything from the Trump Organization to the Trump Foundation to the Trump inauguration, etc., there is tremendous exposure given how free and easy he plays with both the financials and also the reporting thereof. Do you think they're right from how you've seen how the books have been conducted and the stories that have been told, not just IRS, et cetera? Do you think the real story or the real second act might be more, at least, dangerous for the president than the one that just closed?
Well, I think from a financial standpoint, there's some very serious danger for the president. I told the stories in my book of, literally when we did budgets, that we were forced by the New York, Donald, his people up there, his accountants, to exaggerate our projections. And we literally had to fabricate projections that we knew we could not attain. And that was done simply to help Trump with his banks. So I have to imagine that there's a lot of numbers sitting in the Trump Organization's office that reflect exactly what he made us do.
Finally, most people, I think, if they quote unquote dodged a bullet, they would, wipe the brow, say whoof, and move on here. President not in that category. He's already apparently has an enemies list. He's vowing payback. I don't want to get into the politics of this, but now to repeal Obamacare with the election next year. His MO, Jack, is he going to make a mistake here and try and double and triple down, given that he got a pass that many people thought he didn't, and with the inconclusive end of this as it relates to obstruction? Will the Trump continue to lash out, and even at a higher volume than we've seen so far?
Yes. He is a man of revenge. He is a man of hurtfulness. He likes to hurt people. When somebody has fundamentally challenged him, he goes after them. He will double and triple down. He's already started it today. We're already hearing words like treason. He's using the word guilty. It's an indication he's going to go after people very hard. I expect that there's going to be multiple investigations opened up. And I think he's going to go after people not only through the legal system, but I think he'll also go after them personally. I think he will have people looking into their lives, and I think he will make his enemies as miserable as he possibly can. He did it to me, and I fully expect that will be his MO from this point on and through the 2020 election.
Jack O'Donnell, again, if you haven't seen the book, you should. Trump, the inside story of the real Donald Trump, his cunning rise and spectacular fall. And we'll see if that's going to foretell what happens in the next couple of years as well. Jack, I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Richard. It's been a pleasure.
Now, when we come back, everyone, Republicans, they're doing a victory lap over the Mueller probe, at least some of them. Democrats, they're trying to find their footing and to try and figure out where they should go next. Now, one of Barack Obama's top campaign strategists, he'll join us with some advice for his old party.